Okay, so I have to do an informative speech over chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Yeah, try saying that 3 times over. That's not easy at all. But thankfully, the doctors that discovered this disease shortened it up into CTE for us. CTE is mostly it's a brain condition that is linked to being hit or blown in the head several different times over. Uh, the crazy thing about it is there's actually a protein that's in your brain that when you get hit in the head, uh, called tau, or people call it TAU, whichever one you prefer. It clumps up in your brain and it actually starts killing your brain cells. Now, the people that it's found most in is your athletes and military personnel. Now, the CTE didn't become famous until 2007, but I'll get to that later. It became nationwide known in 2014 when the Dr. Ann McKee discovered that 110 out of 202 NFL athletes who had passed away had severe cases, not even moderate cases, severe cases of CTE. She found that they were processing on a level that it was not even functionable. Most of those athletes, I think 92 of the 110 actually committed suicide. Uh, and that is one of the main symptoms of CTE is the functioning. You completely lose function of everything you have. Uh, they Junior Seau was a very famous linebacker in the NFL, and one day just up and killed himself. Uh, Now, Chris Benoit, he was a WWE superstar who had known experiences of several concussions that were never treated. And he ended up killing his family and then murdering himself in 2007, which is where CTE was first brought to light. They found that he had the most severe case of CTE ever found. And he was 42 years old when he killed his family and then took his own life. And he was actually functioning at the level of a 78-year-old man. So the CTE is very, very it's bad. It's really bad. Now Chris Benoit, like I said, he had the most severe case of CTE ever found. 92% of his brain had been taken over by CTE. He was not able to function. Nothing. Uh, the Aaron Hernandez. I'm sure most of you have heard about that. He was actually an NFL football player, had a wife and child, and then he was found guilty of murder. He murdered 3 different guys, and but he was only found guilty of one. But when they did a lie detector test over him, he was able to pass every lie detector test. And they couldn't figure out how he was passing the lie detector test. But the problem with it was he had the second most rare case of CTE ever found, and he actually uh, could not recollect committing the murders. So he was able to pass the lie detector test because he had no clue that he even did it. So the case with CTE is it you can't you can't figure out that CTE is in a brain until the person's dead. There's no way to study the brain until that point. Because the way they have to do it, they have to go into the guy's head and they have to like take out the brain and do they have to cut into it and everything. It's really sad. And like I said, they think that most cases they found them in as people as young as 17 years old, which is like high school football players. Uh, and they think it started around 12 years old. So that is alarming, and sports and the military, everybody included, needs to start figuring out what they need to do to fix the cases of CTE because there have been several cases of teenagers and kids as young as 12 developing the disease, and some have even died in the meantime. So that's my speech on CTE. Thank you guys once again for listening to me.